Be easy. Tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. The last two sections of Chapter 5, we're going to do this one today, and then on Monday is the last section of Chapter 5. Your test will be next Friday because sophomores won't be here on Wednesday. So that cuts into one of your review days, so you're reviewing Tuesday and Thursday. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then test us on Friday. What? It is a respect retreat. What?
No.
I didn't volunteer. I don't know. I don't even know how you volunteer.
We're sitting in the gym for the whole school day.
I know you are. It's going to be great.
Huh?
It'll be great for you. All right, so I want to get started. So you have time to work on your assignment. So today we're going to go over the triangle inequality theorem. Quiet now. Okay, that states the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle must be greater than the length of the third side. Okay, so we have our inequalities here off to the right. So if I add together sides A and B, they have to be greater than that third side C. Same thing with B and C. If I add those two sides together, they have to be greater than side A. And then lastly, A and C together have to be greater than B. So your two sides added together have to be greater than that third side. So, an example, the measures of two sides of a triangle are 5 and 8. We want to find the range for the length of the third side by that triangle inequality theorem. Okay, all three of these must be true. Okay, so I have 5 plus the side I don't know has to be greater than that third side. I have 8 plus the side I don't know has to be greater than that third side. And my two sides I know have to be greater than the third side. Okay, those are our three different equations for that triangle inequality theorem. So with this, all I did here was solve for x. I subtracted 5. That's how I got x is greater than 3. Okay, I have 3 number lines here. We're going to plot these on our number line. So I'm going to plot 3 about here. Okay, and I know my x values have to be greater than 3. Okay, so since it's not equal to, I'll use an open circle. Okay, if it was equal to, I'd use a closed circle. And my values are greater. So that means I'm going to have any value greater than 3. So it's going to go this way. My next one here, I subtracted 8 to solve for x. And I got x has to be greater than negative 3. Okay, so I'm going to plot negative 3 on this side. Kind of keeping everything in line. So say this was 0 for all 3. Since x is greater than negative 3, we have an open circle again on negative 3. And we want every value of x that's greater than it. So again, it's going to go to the right. Okay, the last one, we have 5 plus 8, that was 13. Okay, so 13 has to be greater than x. Another way to read this is x is less than 13. Okay, so if it's easier to read that way, we can flip that. Okay, so this is my last one I want to plot on this number line. So that means I need a point here, 13. Again, an open circle on that point. Now I need all the values that are less than 13. So this time it's going to go to the left. You won't have to do this for every single problem, by the way. So this is just to help you see how you find this range of values. So what I want to do is look for the space where all three of these have a shaded in line. Okay? So over here, this part isn't shaded in, so I can't include that part. But once I get to this 3 right here, all 3 of my lines are shaded at that point, and it stops at 13 because it's not shaded to the right anymore over here. Okay? So that means my range of values have to be between 3 and 13. Okay, so x must be between 3 and 13. Now, how did I get 3? What did I do to get 3? If I look back up at the top here, I subtracted. Okay, so I took the 2 sides I knew and I subtracted them. How did I get 13? I added them. Okay, so this is how you find that range of values. You take the values you already know and subtract them to get your lower bound, and you take the values you already know and add them to get your upper bound. Okay, so that's how I got 3 and 13. Not so bad. And again, you won't have to draw in the number lines. I just wanted to show you how we come about getting that range. All right, next type of example, we're given the 3 side lengths, okay, and we have to determine whether this makes up a triangle or not. And if it doesn't, we have to explain why not. So we're going to use these 3 inequalities here. So we're going to do that for each of these 3 sides. So I need to take 2 of my sides, add them together. When I add those together, they have to be greater than that 3rd side. Okay? Take another 2 sides. We'll say 4 and 6. Add them together. Those have to be greater than the 3rd side. Last one. Now I can take 6 and 3. They have to be greater than that 3rd side. Okay, so I have 3 plus 4 is 7. Greater than 6, is that a true statement? Yes? Then I have 4 plus 6 is 10. Greater than 3, is that a true statement? Yes? Last one is 6 and 3 is 9. Greater than 4. That is also a true statement. So if all of these are true statements, then yes, this is a triangle. Now you don't have to do all 3 for every single problem, you just have to do one of them. Okay? The one that you need to do is adding together your 2 smaller sides. Okay, your 2 smallest sides added together have to be greater than the largest. Because if you take the largest and add one of the smaller ones together, it's going to obviously be greater than the other smaller side. Okay, so all you have to really do is take your 2 smaller sides, add them together, and see if it's greater than the largest. So in number 2, my 2 smallest sides are 6 and 9. So I'm going to add 6 plus 9. That has to be greater than my largest side of 15. Okay, well 6 plus 9 is 15. Is that a true statement? No, it is not a true statement because they are equal. So this will not create a triangle. Okay, so if you get them to be equal, it's not a triangle. So this is no. And I would say no, since 15 is not greater than itself. Okay, so it has to be greater. Okay, questions on that one? Okay, number 3, if all three sides are the same, you just pick two sides, add them together. Has to be greater than the third. If they are all the same, it's obviously going to make a triangle since you double the one value. Okay, so 16 is greater than 8. So yes, a triangle is created. Last one, again, take your two smaller sides. Okay, my smaller sides are 2 and 4. Add those. Have to be greater than the largest side, which is 5. 2 and 4 is 6. And 6 is greater than 5. It makes a true statement. So yes, this is a triangle. Okay, so that's one type of problem that you see in this section. Any questions on that process using that triangle inequality? All right. The next type we have is finding the range. That's kind of like what we did in that first example with the number lines, except you don't have to do it with the number lines this time. If I look back at what I was talking about with the number lines, to find my lower bound, I did what? What did I do to find that lower bound? I subtracted. To find my upper bound, I added. That's what we're going to do down here. So to find your range, you're going to take the two values you know, you're going to subtract to get the lower bound, and you're going to add to get the upper bound. Okay, so I'm going to subtract my two numbers, which are 6 and 1. You don't want it to be negative. Okay, it can't be negative. So you take your larger number, subtract your smaller from it. Okay, so I get 5 centimeters for my lower bound. For my upper bound, I need to add. So we have 6 plus 1. And that's 7 centimeters. So in order to make a triangle, that third length has to be between 5 and 7. It can't be 5 and it can't be 7, but it can be any value between those two. And it's not just 6. You could also have 5.5. That would work as well. Okay, does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Number 6, same thing. We have our two side lengths that we already know. To get your lower bound, we'll subtract. So 18 minus 12. That's 4 yards. And to get the upper bound, we'll add. So 18 plus 12.
Pretty sure 18 minus 12 is 6.
Yep, it is 6. Thanks. And then we have 18 plus 12. That's 30. So my values can range between 6 yards and 30 yards. Okay, but it can't equal 6 and it can't equal 30. Just between those two. Okay, number 7, same process. Subtract the two we know. So we have 5.5 minus 1.5. That's 4 feet. And yes, I do want you to include the label. Don't just write the number. If you notice, I've been including the label each and every time. So you should probably include that as well. Okay, so I have 4 feet. And then I'm going to add my 2. Okay, that's 7 feet. Okay, I do, again, need you to include that label because if you just say 4 and 7, I could say, well, that's 4 centimeters and 7 centimeters. Well, my range is actually larger than that because it's 4 feet and 7 feet. Okay, so make sure you include that label. Last one on the front, we have 82 minus 8. That's 74 meters. And then 82 plus 8 is 90 meters. Okay, so that would be my range of values for that one. Okay, questions on this. Okay, then there's 8 problems on the back. I want you guys to do those in your groups. And if, for this hop 4, if you do get no, you have to explain why it's no.
I did.
Hold your horses. Still recording. A different time, somebody noticed your voice on the recording when they went back and watched it.
What?
From a different class. They came in the next day and asked if that was you that said that. I don't remember what you said.
My friend texted me and was like, I heard your voice on the recording. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
You know what you guys do? Like, for every other class, they just watch the explanation.
If you weren't here that day, you can go back and watch it. And then if you don't understand the content, you can go back and watch it too.
Yeah, I was asked if I was in 1-hour math or whichever one I think Connor Diedrich is in, because all of a sudden in this video I heard a voice that said, is this supposed to look like this? That's my God message.
All right, I'm gonna write out these answers on the back here. So number 9 is yes.
What fruit is it?
Number 10 is no.
It was December 17th, so.
Okay, and I had since 17 is not greater than itself. Number 11 is yes. And number 12 is no. Since 49 is less than 50. Okay, so you had 2 yeses and 2 nos. For your range of values, I had 13 feet to 25 feet. For 14, I had 22 kilometers to 36 kilometers. 15 was 14 inches to 40 inches. And 16 was 5 feet to 41 feet.
Wow.
Okay, any questions on those problems?